Hi everyone, welcome back to a new video. My name is Dave, welcome back to Wilde Reads and welcome back to the first edition of 6 on Sunday. You will find this remarkably similar in theme to my 6 new books to look out for. In fact, it's pretty much the same sort of video, apart from I've changed the title and the logo. I love making the videos in this series. I love rooting out books that appeal to me and therefore hopefully appeal to you as well. So I have got 6 fantastic new books that are due out in the month of May and I cannot wait to tell you all about them. So the first book, this is the new book from one of my favourite authors, and she's only written one book and she's already one of my favourite authors. This is the new book from Ruth Hogan. If you've seen videos on my channel before, you will know that last year I absolutely adored Ruth Hogan's first book, The Keeper of Lost Things. In fact, I loved it so much, I made it my book of the year. This is her follow-up book. Now, I've had a proof copy of this book for months and months and months, but I've been putting off reading it because I wanted to read it nearer to the publication date. I've got a proof copy that looks like this. It was previously called The Particular Wisdom of Sally Redshoes. It's now called The Wisdom of Sally Redshoes, with a brand new cover that looks like this. Masha is an intelligent, independent woman in her early 40s whose life has been irremediably changed by a tragic event 12 years before. Unable to share her grief, she finds solace in the local Victorian cemetery and in her town's Lido, where she seeks refuge underwater, safe from the noise and the pain. But a chance encounter with 2 extraordinary women, the fabulous Kitty Muriel, a convent girl turned magician's wife turned 70-something roller disco fanatic, and the mysterious Sally Redshoes, a bag lady with a prodigious voice, opens up a new world of possibilities and the chance to start living again. Until the fateful day when the past comes roaring back, a story of empowerment, hope and redemption. A book about ordinary people hiding extraordinary pain and the small acts of courage and joy that rescued them. In the vein of her best-selling debut, The Keeper of Lost Things, Ruth Hogan's second novel introduces a cast of wonderful characters, both ordinary and charmingly eccentric, who guide us through a moving exploration of the simple human connections that make life worth living. That sounds absolutely fabulous. So that's The Wisdom of Sally Redshoes by Ruth Hogan, published by Two Roads, and it is out on the 3rd of May. Okay, the second book I have for you is a book called Whistle in the Dark. This is by Emma Healy. It's published by Viking and it's out on the 3rd of May. This says, how do you rescue someone who has already been found? Jen's 15-year-old daughter goes missing for 4 agonising days. When Lena is found unharmed in the middle of a desolate countryside, everyone thinks the worst is over. But Lena refuses to tell anyone what happened, and the police think the case is closed. The once happy, loving family returns to London, where things start to fall apart. Lena begins acting strangely, refusing to go to school and sleeping with the light on. With her daughter increasingly becoming a stranger, Jen is sure the answer lies in those 4 missing days. But will Lena ever reveal what happened? That sounds absolutely brilliant as well. So that's Whistle in the Dark by Emma Healy, published by Viking, and that is out on the 3rd of May. The third book I have on the list for you is a book that I've seen doing the rounds on all the socials already. I've seen quite a few people reading this or reading advanced copies of this. This one's called Darling. It's written by Rachel Edwards. It's published by Fourth Estate and it is out on the 17th of May. And the blurb says, Lola doesn't particularly want a new stepmother, especially not one who has come out of nowhere and only been with her dad for 3 months. And she's not racist or anything, but since when did her dad fancy black women anyway? Darling didn't particularly want a new stepdaughter, especially not one as spiteful and spoilt as Lola. She does want Lola's dad though, and he wants her. So that's that. Darling and Lola will just have to get used to each other, unless Lola can find a way to get rid of Darling. Now, from what I've heard, this book is set in just after post-Brexit. So this is just as the country's thoughts and the country's... It was a very strange time, wasn't it, after the Brexit vote? The country really was polarised, and really something that Ali Smith documented very well in her book Autumn. But that's Darling by Rachel Edwards. It's out on the 17th of May, published by Fourth Estate. The fourth book I have for you is The Water Cure. This is written by Sophie Mackintosh. It's out on the 24th of May and it's published by Hamish Hamilton. And it says here, this book is hypnotic, dreamlike and compulsive, a blazing literary debut for fans of Hot Milk, The Girls and The Vegetarian. Imagine a world very close to our own, where women are not safe in their bodies, where desperate measures are required to raise a daughter. This is the story of Grace, Leah and Skye, kept apart from the world for their own good and taught the terrible things that every woman must learn about love. And it is the story of the men who come to find them. Three strangers washed up by the sea, their gazes hungry and insistent, trailing desire and destruction in their wake. The Water Cure is a fever dream, a blazing vision of suffering, sisterhood and transformation. And it's described as otherworldly, brutal and poetic, a feminist fable set by the sea, a utopia gone awry, a female Lord of the Flies. It transported me, savaged me, filled me with hope and fear. It felt like a book I've been waiting to read for a very long time. That sounds absolutely brilliant. Cannot wait to get a copy of that one. So that was The Water Cure, published by Hamish Hamilton, out on the 24th and written by Sophie Mackintosh. The fifth book I have on my list for you is a book called Missing. This is written by Alison Moore and it's published by Salt Publishing. This is out on the 15th of May. And this book seems really, really intriguing. Salt published some absolutely fantastic titles. It's a publisher that I don't really read enough of, and I really should, because their book list, their catalogue and their backlist is absolutely incredible. So this one says, following a family tragedy, Jessie Noon moved from the Fens to the Midlands and now lives in the Scottish borders with a cat, a dog, and she is convinced a ghost in the spare room. Her husband walked out almost a year ago, leaving a note written in steam on the bathroom mirror, and Jessie hasn't seen her son for years. When Jessie meets Robert, a local outreach worker, they are drawn to one another and begin a relationship. Meanwhile, Jessie has begun receiving messages telling her, "I'm on my way home." As a translator, Jessie worries over what seems like the terrible responsibility of choosing the right words. "It isn't exactly a matter of life and death," said her husband, but Jessie knows otherwise. This is a novel about communication and miscommunication and lives hanging in the balance, a child going missing, a boy in a coma, an unborn baby, occupying the fine line between life and death, between existing and not existing. That sounds absolutely brilliant. So that's Missing by Alison Moore, published by Salt Publishing, and it's out on the 15th of May. Now the last book I have for you on the list is this one is called The Paper Lovers. It's written by Gerard Woodward. It's published by Picador and it's out on the 31st of May. And this one says, this is the story of two married couples and an affair. The first part of the book focuses on a man who suddenly develops a crush on one of his wife's friends. As his affections deepen, he becomes aware that she too has feelings for him. Soon they transgress, but what does this mean? Is it love? Will they be caught? The second part of the story is about the crisis of identity that comes with betrayal. If you are no longer faithful to yourself, to your spouse, or to your God, who are you now? If you have been deceived, diminished, your world destroyed without your knowledge, who are you now? And in each case, how might you live on? Who might you become? So that was The Paper Lovers, published by Picador, written by Gerard Woodward, and it's out on the 31st of May. Some absolutely brilliant books there. You will find links to all those 6 titles in the description box below. Whatever you're doing this week, enjoy your books, and I'll see you back here on Tuesday for another BookTube video. Until then, take care. Bye bye.